Welcome to Inside the Firm, a podcast dedicated to small business owners and hosted by entrepreneurs Alex Gore and Lance Cayko. Each week, they take you on their journey of how to start, run, and grow a business by bringing you inside their architecture and real estate development firm. Get a behind-the-scenes tour of how these business leaders manage their clients and foster company culture while creating new and innovative projects. And now your hosts, Alex Gore and Lance Cayko.
Welcome to another edition of Inside the Firm. I have a special guest here today. He's our regular guest. He's Lance, cool, calm, and collective Cayko. I forgot why earlier in the week we called you that. Probably because of construction issues. Probably.
What did I do? I came in and I was so proud of myself for just not overreacting to something. What the heck was it?
I don't know. You deserve kudos for it. We need more notes. We need more notes. I am your other host, Alex Gore, and I have something very cool to say to you. And that is, if you are thinking about revamping or retraining or training for the first time, new people or yourself, on how to model in Revit to mimic how construction happens so that people can learn faster, so that your team can model quicker, and so that everyone is on the same page, go to revitrocketship.com, revitrocketship.com.
If you are also, if you can't find the product data you're looking for, you might be using the wrong search engine. Broad searches result in consumer products out-of-date information and websites that hide or don't have the information you're looking for. If you need specifications, CAD or BIM, arccat.com is your search engine. Find and download the up-to-date data you need fast. arccat.com is free and requires no registration, so try ArcCat today. That's ARCAT.com. Al Gore, back to you.
So we got a good show for you today. We're going to talk about what's happening in our industry, the architecture and construction industry, and then we have a good tip of the week at the end. A good tip of the week. So
I love this tip of the week thing he's doing, by the way. Saw it this morning, and I was like, wow.
Let's keep it up.
Yep.
Let's keep it up.
And while he's doing his segments, I'm just going to be over here autistically trying to understand what I was so calm and cool about the whole show until I figure it out. I cannot stop thinking.
We were
about
down
it.
here.
What the heck? What was
here.
I doing that was so awesome?
Oh,
Why was I calm? What was I calm about? Didn't it solve a problem or something like that?
Was it construction? Didn't you say something? I didn't even get mad.
Yes. I
You
didn't
didn't?
even get mad.
Yeah.
I didn't even get upset.
Yeah.
Ah.
It'll come.
All right. Okay. Okay.
So this article on Yahoo Finance, people are, quote unquote, giving up on home buying. This is Kinlock Partners CEO.
I feel like this is a repeat article. I'm going to pull it up on the big screen here while Al's talking.
Go ahead. Go ahead. Housing affordability is weighing on potential buyers as home prices continue to rise.
Oh, this
is
new.
What I'm getting at, too, is that there's a couple different articles,
Yep.
and it's a nuanced situation, right? So what's that nuanced situation? So the CEO explains that people are giving up and may not enter the market until rates move to 5.5%. He adds that to his company is receiving more and more lease applications with each home vacancy. But the industry is already 98% leased. People are going to have to rent longer than they think, is what he says. Okay, that's one perspective. I think that's probably true.
Mm-hmm.
The next article, housing prices in pandemic era boom towns are going bust as prices fall, right? So there's different regions, different cities, and what they are mentioning is that basically, here we go.
Pandemic era boom
Yep.
towns. Oh, so like little ones where people are just moving to like crazy?
Well, 14% of
the
major
idea?
markets now have inventories at or above pre-pandemic levels, up 10% from just a month ago. So Florida, Texas, and Colorado account for nearly all of the markets, with San Francisco being the lone exception outside these states. So Lakeside, Florida leads the pack with a 43% surplus in homes compared to its 2017 to 2019 average. And I think when we talk about the economy or anything like that, I always think before the pandemic, because the pandemic I even asked my wife this. So there was the debate on yesterday, so this won't be relevant to everyone, depending on when you listen. So it was Trump versus Biden. But one of the things the moderator said was, $100 groceries now cost $120.
Mm-hmm.
So I just asked my wife, and she's like, no. What used to cost $100 does not now cost $120.
What does she say?
She goes, 180, 200.
Yeah, I think it's about double.
Yeah.
It's just all the way back to, like, if you're a longtime listener, I think in 2020 we cited the article several times that they doubled the money supply. So what does that mean? Well, then should be twice as much for everything.
So basically what this article is saying is that places that got overheated, like Florida, Austin, Texas falls with a 29% increase, while San Antonio rounds out the top three with a 27% rise. So there was a lot of people moving towards the pandemic during the pandemic, and they're moving, honestly, out of.
Oh gosh! Well, yeah. Later in the article it says, Austin, once a top destination during the pandemic, is now seeing many of its residents move. According to data issued by Pods, Austin will be the 5th highest move-out city in 2024. Very interesting. I mean, I think Colorado's population actually declined for the first time year over year.
See if you can look that up while I go to the next article.
Population decline.
So, April. Okay. Last article from me before I hand it over to Lance. Fed's favorite inflation reading highlights. Basically, the new inflation reading is coming out today, and I tried to see if it came out by this episode, but it's not.
Oh, darn.
The Fed preferred inflation measure, which should show prices on a core basis, which excludes food and energy, which is just crazy that they're like, this is what I prefer.
Yeah.
I prefer the one that doesn't affect people's pocketbook literally all the time. Rose 0.1 last month. This would mark the slowest monthly rise since November.
Crazy.
So if it's not rising or rising very slightly, there's hope for an interest rate cut, which could then lead to more people buying homes, which could lead to maybe making more multifamily homes. My architecture group commented, they're in Philly, and they went to one of them went to a symposium there, and basically the overall theme was multifamily is dead because nothing pencils out. So we will see. Lance, did you find?
Basically, Colorado population boom easing off.
Okay.
It's not the best news for us. Let's see. Yeah. So from 2010 to 2020, Colorado was adding nearly, basically when we got the business going, Colorado was adding nearly 75,000 new residents a year from July 2021 to July 2022. The annual population increase in Colorado was only 27,700 people at a rate of 0.5. It was population growth, but not at all in previous decades. So yeah, it'll be slow, which I think honestly a lot of people are okay with. I would like slow, steady, just normal, just chill for a while. It'd be cool. You know, we don't have to get crazy. Like me and Al will get crazy enough. It's crazy enough just being builders, you know. So that's all good.
I think prices rose, and then also there's not enough water in Colorado. So if they'd figure that out, it would help.
So on the note of it, just the trend of the economy, and I swear we're going to get to the meat and potatoes of the podcast, which is, by the way, the podcast is titled 11 Strategies for Managing a Team Effectively. Al and I have formed an internal leadership group here at F9 where we're we have 2 project architects in a bi-weekly meeting with us. We're helping to coach the project architects who are just in their very first month. One of them just the first month / another one just a couple months into, like, managing 2 staff members each. The learning curve here is very steep. So people who are small firm architects who want to start rolling into this, which is ultra critical to be able to grow, to whatever size you're looking to get to. We'll get to that. But before that, mortgage rates. So from NAHB. By the way, I'm going to join. Haven't done it yet, so maybe that'll be the title of next week's episode when Al's not here. Yeah. And I'll just talk about how awesome NAHB is by myself. Yeah. Actually, I won't be here either. You know what? Because it's July 5th. Yep. We are off. Al will be in Minnesota, and I will be crushing it in the mountains. Okay, from NAHB, though, higher rates continue to sideline home buyers. Duh, everybody knows that. Mortgage rates that have averaged... What?
That was the first article. It's linking.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. Sorry, I just was making sure I wasn't repeating stuff. Mortgage rates that are average 7.06 in May per Freddie Mac, the highest monthly average since last November. Sales of newly built single-family homes fell in May from 11.3% to a 619,000 seasonally annually adjusted rate. Blah blah blah. New single, and then kind of at the end here, regionally on a year-to-date basis, new home sales are up 6.0% in the Northeast, 25.2% in the Midwest. That's good. Midwest is the best. It's doing all right. I mean, it kind of is what it is. It's cheaper there, right? So what are you going to do? Yeah, we just really need this stupid election to be over with. We need the interest rates to just drop a little bit and get back to business. I am hoping for the best this fall. My goodness, we need to stay. There's a lot of pent-up demand, obviously.
Yeah.
Like, people want to buy and do things with their lives, so we just need it to happen. Okay. Shifting gears, though. If you are even just, I think these 11 strategies from Indeed.com. This article is about a year old. It was on June 2nd, 2023. But I think it's very critical for anybody who's managing anybody. Even if you're just a one-person shop and you're trying to make that big leap to be a two-person shop, and you start delegating the work you're bringing in so that you can start multiplying and become a firm that has the capability of growing. And you know what? And for people who just want to be sole proprietors, cool. Maybe this would help with your consultants too. I think it's very valuable stuff, and I thought these 11 strategies, they just nailed it. I don't even know if I would add any more to this. So 11 strategies for managing a team effectively. I'm not going to read them in detail. I'm just going to talk about them in bullet point, because Al, Pontificator Gore, will be happy to speak.
Yep.
So number one, and I thought this was actually the best ones. So like they did it correct. Number one, learn to delegate. Al, how hard was it for you to learn how to delegate, or have you just been a natural delegator?
Me, natural. I mean, come on, look at me. Al, natural, Gore. There's.
Honestly, I was like, kind of, frankly, kind of.
Yep. There's strategies, there's tactics to this, and here's the tactics. One is you have to train them first, right? So train them first. 2, give them examples when they start. And 3, a lot of people are afraid that they will lose control. So how do you not lose control? So,
I think that's always been a really good strong suit of you, is you're not a control freak.
Yep. So if you are a control freak and don't want to lose control, schedule time in the project. Let's just say at the start of DDs, and let's say somewhere in CDs. And here's the first thing that you can do. Later, you can delegate even more. But if you are passing off a project, do those first things. Train your staff so that they know the standard. Give them examples. Then in DDs, take back the model. Look through it. Rotate around it. Don't just look at PDFs and mark it up, especially when you're just starting. Later, with upper people, you can't do that because you're going to miss it. You're going to miss what's going on. You remember us talking about this specifically like a year ago. Like, holy shit, I finally went in the model. Do you remember this?
Yeah.
I finally went in the model, right?
You got to go in the model.
Yep.
Look at the work.
And then you could even say, like, oh, I will clean it up and recap to people what went wrong and what didn't go wrong. And then you can do another one at CD set if you want to.
Do you think learning and becoming comfortable to delegate is it makes you, it levels you up?
100%. Here's an example.
Thank you.
Here's a real life example. If you are leading a firm or a one-person shop, you've put your fingers in every single honeypot. And now you know what all those honeys are, and you're able to see the bigger picture, right?
You know the honeypot that he hates the most? If he ever has to dip his hands in an electrical or an outlet plan, he will die.
Yes, I will die. And here's why.
He will get electrocuted, metaphorically speaking.
Yep. Because someone can do that. Mm-hmm. And here's what a lot of people can't do. Put together a sophisticated plan, budget, and schedule and strategy for building a multi-million-dollar house far away. Because they don't have the experience. You'd have to teach them so much, right? So Lance, that's something you can do while someone else can do the electrical plan, right?
Yes.
Exactly.
Here's one example. And we'll move to the second bullet point. I think where it helped. It made me level up. It made me be very focused on the first design idea. Like it made it so like I had to go, okay, I need to really make sure I've thought it out in my head. And when I prepare that first sketch and the partee and all of the good stuff to staff right away, that I have to sell it to them. I got to sell it to myself. I got to sell it to the owners. And like it made me just, I'm not saying I'm the best sketcher in the world, but it made me be very concise and clear with that first big sketch that I do for people in that kind of way. I had to level up, and then I had to go like, okay, yeah, like I have to be good. I don't know how else to say that.
Yeah. So with this joke, just know I'm probably a worse sketcher than you, depending on how much time I want to take. Lance, you're not the best sketcher in the world. You're the second best sketcher at F9. Ross is better than all of us.
Ross is the best.
Ross is the best.
Yeah, he's really good. Yeah. I was just gushing over his sketches the other day.
They're so good.
They're really good. Yeah, I agree. Number 2, empower your team. Basically, here's some bullet points before Al rattles off on that note. Some ways you can empower your team: give team members larger roles in projects or meetings, introduce team members to the client. Oh my God, this is actually really, really critical. Introduce team members to the client, introduce team members on emails, ask team members to provide feedback, include team members in solution planning, show appreciation for input and contributions. This one, I just want to highlight this bullet point here. Include team members on emails. Our protocol is this. Let's say we sign a contract on Wednesday of this week. But then the Monday after, it gets put into our hopper, and then I make an introductory email forming the triangle. I've already prefaced the owner with it that this is what's coming next. Here's your team, me, a project architect, and a production staff member. And then because you like one of the things I noticed from the other firms I worked in is first of all, that email wouldn't happen. Second of all, they just felt like the owners, the people, the clients would just feel like we're just sort of abandoning them. Like me and Al or somebody else, some other principal, right, would be out selling the firm and convincing them that they should hire us and everything, and then they're like, yeah, and so they think you're going to be working with you, and then all of a sudden you go away. I heard this multiple times at the first firm I worked for here in Boulder, a lot. And then introducing the team members to the client, like Al, like I think you figured this out like 4 or 5 years ago or something. Like, why wouldn't I bring the person who's doing the production to the meeting?
It was just crazy because I'd be in meetings, and then I would see a head guy. And they'd be like, okay, I'll get back to you or I'll do that. I'm like, well, if you had the person actually doing it right here, and this is for bigger projects, it'd be easier. So they don't do that. And my joke that I think it lands 100% of the time. Let's say it lands 70% of the time, but it helps break the ice. When I introduce them, I say, hey, here's your project manager, whatever their name is, and here's how it works. They do all the work, and I get all the credit. Everyone's like, ha, 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 ha. But then it instantly like, oh, okay. Like, if I literally want an outlet moved, Jason's going to do it. So, like, of course, I'm communicating with that person, you know?
Yeah. Number 3, keep communication channels open. Effectively managing a team means keeping communication channels open. When employees understand their expectations, their job becomes easier and they feel more supported. To that end, be transparent by actively communicating throughout a project shows exactly. Like, do you just? I'm copying on a lot of emails where there's this triangle: a PA, not me, project architect, somebody in production, and then I'm the administrator. That's what I call myself in the triangle.
Nice.
Like I'm the administrator. I will chime in maybe once a week with just one sort of piece of input or something like that.
Sure.
Where I can, but like beyond that, it's me just kind of touching and saying like, "Hey, I'm still here. I'm still watching.
Yep.
You know, you're not abandoned." Super important. I also do think, though, that we've been doing some language coaching. So that's another thing maybe you should be watching out for while you're bringing entry-level staff into the whole fold. And that's sort of the double-edged sword about keeping the communication channel open, right? So I'll give you an example. The other day, I had to language correct somebody, or just communication correct somebody. They replied all to an email and copied in a client where I didn't really like the subject line of an internal email that we had. And so I called that staff member and I said, hey, just so you know, like, you shouldn't have done that, because look at the subject line. What does that say, right? Like, some emails need to be internal, but that's okay. Like, one of the things I've been saying too is to both companies and people in there is like, I'm okay with us making mistakes as long as we learn from them. I'm okay with us losing money as long as we learn from them. If there's a lesson and a positive here to that. So I'm actually glad that kind of negative happened. It wasn't the worst.
Yeah. I think you nailed that topic.
Number 4, encourage collaboration.
Yep.
Gore.
Well, I mean, you just talked about it. Like, collaboration, communication is the precursor for collaboration.
You just really show your disappointment if people are not talking and collaborating. Like, what the heck?
Yep.
It's so weird.
Yep.
Yeah. If you teach at a university, I think you understand how siloed people are. It's honestly a good contrast to the private sector. Like, this is the thing me and Jen talk about all the time. It's like, oof, it's pretty siloed over there. And we're used to collaboration and teams. Like, we're a team. I mean, the guys in the F-14 company, we're a team all the time. Team, go team. We're saying team. We're literally, I'm now praising them every day, going dream team, hashtag dream team. Thanks, boys. Hashtag dream team.
Yep. They're one of the universities. I'll just say, CU actually does a good job in their senior capstone. They do a project where someone is the M, someone is the E, someone is the P, someone is the A. We've been telling other universities to do that for a long time. Bring in the LA, bring in the ID, interior design. Great idea. We're old now. That was probably 20 years ago.
Yeah.
Like, what are we doing?
Number 5, maintain consistency. This is critical.
Yep.
For sure. Showing up on time, doing the things. Consistency is key. I'm pretty sure there's even an episode, if you look up Inside the Firm, consistency is key. I almost guarantee you we did a whole consistency is key
and
episode.
How we do that is we've formulated what our F9 principles are.
Yeah.
And then every day we have a little internal meeting besides Friday. And it's 5 to 12 minutes long. And it's people talking about projects, problems, wins, process improvements, and a principle. And that principle reinforces the consistency of this is who we are and why we do it.
Yeah. Number 6, use discipline effectively. Ooh, really good. Effective team managers understand issues may arise that call for disciplinary action. So there's like what you do is you should discipline. The keys here are discipline behind doors, immediate, like I just talked about, immediate phone call. Hey, don't do that again. Here's why we can't do that again. And then I think one of the things you have to do too is you sort of have this paternal-maternal relationship with your employees, right? There's just no way around it, like, because you feel that way, especially like if you're using discipline, like it kind of feels that way, right? And like, if you have children, you probably know that what's worse is when they know you're disappointed in them than if you're like mad at them. So when I had that phone call last week with one of our employees, I said, I'm not mad at you. I'm just disappointed.
Yep.
And that hit way harder.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's part of also going back to the consistency part is like just keeping the calm, with it. Maybe that's what it was. It might have been that. I didn't even get mad. I just explained the problem. Maybe that's what I don't know.
Yeah, I feel like it was that.
Yeah. Number 7, lead by example. That's Al. He's just all day look at his beard. I'm just trying to catch up to it.
When there's work to be done in the field, Lance has went out in the field and worked, right? I've went out and
same thing,
fallen off a ladder.
Yep.
But at least I was out there, putting up sheathing.
Yeah.
Lead by example in everything that you do.
For number 8, positive constructive feedback, I think the biggest piece of advice I would add onto this is that, like, when they talked about, it goes on to say, be sure to offer constructive criticism to team members to improve their performance. Oh, perfect. Focus on using positive language when possible. that empathy book that I harp on about, that everybody should read, Train Your Empathy, they reinforced for me that I was already on the right track, but I should improve on it even more about using positive language, which is like, instead of saying you, say we. Like, you have to use sort of inclusive language in that way, that where it's like, no, we. So then you're part of a team, right? Like, it's a here's why we have to do this, why we can't do this. You can't just point at people.
Yep. And here's why. I'll use an example, a personal example.
Yeah.
That me, you, and your kids kind of just talked about. Constructive feedback just helps the next project go smoother. It helps people learn quicker, right? So we were talking about teaching kids to drive, and one kid got taught this way, and then the whole discussion is like, oh, do it a different way. She's just going to drive better, faster.
Yeah.
It's the same thing. And then I'm taking the same thing. Okay, when my kids are driving, okay, what I'm sure you'll tell me something from this experience. I'll be like, okay, that's the hardest thing. How do we focus on that? Like, that's a easy example because it's just like one task, but like the whole theory of construction feedback is that they're gonna get better at something faster.
Yeah. It's a feedback loop. Number 9, use communication tools. I think the one of the biggest learning lessons that I've had in the past 4 or 5 years about this is that we can text, we can email, we can call. There's in person. There's online versions like Slack or Discord or whatever, or like Monday.com, just all kinds. It's sort of leads into number 10, which is set clear expectations. I think these two talk to each other, pun intended, communication there. But like, what's the expectation? When I get a new client, I ask them, what's your preferred form of communication?
Yep.
And then there's also just feeling them out too on the construction side of things. I tell this to our superintendent all the time, and he's figured it out now. And I can tell he's happier at his job right now because he's figured it out, where he's like, I can only get her to respond to when I ask her for something via text. I'm like, there you go, you figured it out. Or the plumbers, or if somebody wants a phone call and stuff like that. I don't know. Some people are just adverse to some kinds of communication.
Yep. So I'm not personally a big fan of Slack or anything like that, just because I hear people get involved in it. It's they have to read everyone's stuff. It pops up all over the place. Yeah. So use what's right for you. Like FaceTime really helps. These Loom videos that I sometimes make and send out really help.
Dude, I've been making Loom videos for like our framers and stuff.
Have you for real?
Oh, perfect. God, it's amazing. I'll just go in the model and I'll go, hey, Danny, here's what we got to do. What are your thoughts? That's great. It's really getting good. And because I'll go even further. So I don't email them. Like, here's how like, if you're going to be like a world-class communicator, right, you got to even curtail your content to the audience in the way it's delivered. So, like, I'll make a Loom video for our framers, 30 seconds or less, because I know that, like, if it's 30 seconds or less, I can download it. I can email it to myself. It'll be 25 megabytes or less. Yep. Then I can download it to my phone and text it to them. Because you know what I mean? Like, you have to go drill down to that kind of autistic level of understanding media.
Yep.
In order to do it. Yeah. It's been amazing.
Yep. I like that.
Yeah. Number 11, show emotional intelligence.
Perfect.
Empathize.
Oh.
Understand, empathize, read the book, train your empathy, get it on.
But it goes back to communication, clear expectations, and feedback loop. Like, it's just building, like, those are the pieces of emotional intelligence, is having those.
Yeah. All right, Al. That's how you manage a team. It doesn't matter if they're your employees, or consultants, whatever you're managing. If you are in the administrative level, or right underneath there, a project architect, project manager, whatever, these are the keys. Al, what's our tip of the week?
Well, before I go to the tip of the week, why I want to emphasize this too is that I knew when I was working on bigger projects that there was the person in charge and then there was the person doing the work. So I would always include that person too. Now, what I haven't even thought about is that you could get, let's say you're doing a huge 25,000 square foot, whatever, and someone from a big firm is working on it. What if they're bad at emails, but they're better at text?
There you go.
civil, MEP,
Yeah.
whatever. Like, let's do it. Tip of the week. Because of the interest rates and if you're in multifamily or residential, if that's slowing down, the tip of the week is to rekindle old relationships, right? The best sale is to someone you've already sold to. You don't have to convince them that you're good, that you're on time, that you're on budget. All you have to convince them is that, oh, they have a job, they should consider you, right? So reach back out, go back 10 years, and the reach out is simple. Hey, Bob, I saw that you did this new project. It looks awesome. Some compliment to them. Second part is, I know we haven't talked in a long time. We've really developed our skills, our product type, or some other thing. I would like to talk to you about it. Let me know if you have time over Zoom or coffee. That's it.
That's your tip of the day. Tip of the week. We will not see you next Friday. I'm sorry. We won't.
Can't do it.
We're busy. I'll probably just put a Monday morning show for that show or something like that. Or maybe I will do a little pontification one. Who knows what
There
we'll
you
do.
go. While they're on the lake,
We'll figure it out. Yeah, exactly. So anyways, if you like this episode, you're listening on the YouTube, please leave us a positive comment. Jason Altman, you're the MVP. iTunes, 5-star reviews. Have a happy 4th. We'll see you next week.